because they have the identical same 5 starting. Well, let me check that. I think actually St. Petersburg has made 1 change. Benson, Lockett, Geron, McDonald, and Swift for Pensacola State. And then for St. Petersburg, it is Lewis, Pryor, Johnson, Kamara, and Jackson. Didn't take long to get somebody at the stripe. And then somebody picks up 1 point, makes it a 1-zip St. Petersburg lead. Pensacola State, as I mentioned, riding a 14-game win streak coming in. Had that snapped by Shelton State. And now trying to go 2-1 in classic play. And St. Petersburg is hoping that they do not become one of just 2 teams that does not win a game here. Thus far, Snow is the only team that was not able to pick up a victory. They have wrapped up their play. And St. Pete coming in 0-2. Casey into the ballgame quickly over to Geron. Swift bringing it baseline. Underneath, shot no good. McDonald and Jackson will grab the rebound. 2-1 Pensacola State lead. That is lobbed over to Pryor. Pryor with a miss, McDonald with it, gives it over to Geron. 3-pointer from Swift won't fall. Pryor's got it back. Taken away. Pryor a little wobbly after twisting that ankle a little bit. Looks like she's going to be okay and stay in the game. Lockett hitting the bucket. And Coach Nisha Davidson saying, okay, Lady Titans, let's go ahead and talk. 90 seconds into the ball game. In a 4-1 contest.
You've played some travel ball, you've shared the videos. Mom and Dad can only root so much. It's time to get real interest from the colleges and scouts in your area, right where you live. That's why the Showcase Series is different. We're not just another tournament, we're an advancement event where you get real-time exposure with live TV coverage of our games that get you seen directly by the coaches you want to impress from anywhere in the world. Register for events at showcaseseries.org. It's your turn at bat.
Back to the Lady Jets Holiday Classic. A special guest with us, a voice that is very familiar to those who listen to South Georgia Tech basketball, but we haven't heard him for a year now. James Frey.
Yeah, it's been a little while, hasn't it?
It has been. Of course, you're still doing basketball, but not at South Georgia Tech. Of course, folks know you moved on to New Mexico as the associate head coach there and leaving the AD duties and ladies head basketball chores to eventually Jason Carpenter, the new coach. Okay, before we get started.
Okay.
I know that you're in the NCAA now and you've talked with compliance. What can we not talk about?
Recruits.
Okay. So recruits are off limits.
Yeah.
Anything else is go.
Yep. If we're talking about, we can talk about this classic. We can talk about me personally. We can talk about whatever. I don't know if people ever want to hear about me personally. So,
well, based on your adventures last night, they may want to.
Geez, I tell you, this biggest difference between junior college and Division I is the travel. And got hung up in Atlanta airport at 11:30 and rental car nightmare. Ended up Ubering to Americus got into my room at the Windsor at 3:50. I think by 4 o'clock I was completely knocked out and asleep.
And not for long, though, right? Because you had to get those hunting chores in.
Of course. What kind of trip to Americas would be complete without a couple hours in a deer stand before everybody else woke up?
Well, now, it brings up the curiosity, though, on you no longer have an abode of any shape, form, or fashion in Americas?
No, I don't. I have some friends like Dr. Finley who put me up as the vagabond I am, and Coach Ballore at the men's coach and people like that. But no, I don't. I have moved it all west.
Jackson down with the rebound and bringing it to the other end of the floor. That is Johnson. There is collision, a blocking foul. And Johnson will go to the stripe and shoot a couple. All right, your new job at New Mexico State. I see where you lose yesterday by 1 to Texas Arlington.
Yeah,
a
on
game
the road.
that you had the lead in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just one of those things we're trying to, we got 6 or 7 new people trying to figure each other out and trying to figure out a way to, win games like that. We've lost 4 games by under 5. We've lost 2 of our last 3 have been 1 and 2 in overtime. So, you have to win a couple of those to get that feeling and to understand, kind of what we need to do to win, consistently. So got some talented young ladies, and they're just trying to figure it out and start conference on Saturday down at UTEP. So hopefully we'll figure it out before then.
And haven't most of those losses come on the road?
Yes. Yeah, we've been on the road a lot. My frequent flyer miles are really, really, really doing well. It's not something you get excited about, but they're doing well.
Well, we've been keeping updated or getting updated by David Finley, and I like the new name he's got. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
I heard it today.
Yes, the Fighting Phrase.
I heard it today.
That is a great name. Have you talked to Coach about or school reps about the possibility of changing things there from Aggies?
No, I think the Aggies is pretty solid, and I think we call them the Fighting Adams if we call them anybody. Jody Adams, our head coach, is very deserving.
Got a steal, got a bucket, dropped in.
Travel.
And Benson walks with it prior to the 2. 6:41 to play here in quarter number 1. And toss to Lockett after the steal, and we keep it on the Pensacola State end of the floor. You guys do recruit a lot of junior college athletes, though.
Yeah, a lot of JUCO, a lot of international. You kind of recruit, young folks that you can get involved with. We don't want to waste a whole lot of time with people that we're going to spend a whole lot of time and money on, and then them sign at a big school. So we want to recruit our level. We want to recruit young ladies that we feel are better than us, because that's how you become really successful at the major level.
Swift with the miss, got it back.
So junior college, yes, that's something that we sign a lot of.
Let me ask this. I know that you had really not a back channel. You had a connection to other parts of the world to bring in talent when you were here at South Georgia Tech.
Yes.
Are you using that to bring in talent to New Mexico State?
Yes, and to put some young ladies at junior colleges around the country that still don't have the ability to go straight to Division I. So we'll place some people at different places that we'll try to get back after they finish at the junior college.
Firing for the corner, dropped in for 2 from Johnson. Well, that's interesting then. I mean, so you help them get to a junior college, but not necessarily with the commitment that they go to New Mexico State. You hope that you've kind of built that relationship.
Right. That's it. We just try to, they're people that I have knowledge of or have recruited their people in their countries before and stuff like that. So they'll trust me. And when I try to help them find good places where they're going to be taken care of, it's with the understanding that if we would like to recruit them when they get out, we'd want a great opportunity to have them. But that happens all over. Everybody does that.
Now, is that something that Well, I guess maybe you just answered my question in that everybody does that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, is there, though, enough business, I guess for the lack of a better word, to maybe even start a business that focuses exclusively on that, or does it already exist?
No, there's a lot of them. There are a lot of them in different parts of the world. Absolutely.
Well, if you were to ever call it a career coaching-wise, is that something that you might consider?
No, no. If I call it a career coaching-wise, I'm going to go get a lawnmower and a weed eater and an edger and cut some grass and take time off whenever I want it and not have to answer the phone all the time. Yep, I'm going to relax a little bit.
I don't know if I'm buying the weed eater and the mower, but I am thinking the shotgun or the rifle is.
Well, those most certainly will be involved. The R&R factor will be high.
Into the ballgame, King for St. Petersburg. Reaching in to take it away, that is Swift. And feeds over to Benson. Benson will lay it in for 2.
I wonder if I'm allowed to talk about officials now. I used to get yelled at when I talked about them before, but I don't think David Elder can help him now.
Well, and I think you could say whatever you want to about them. They're not going to coach or not going to officiate a game that you're calling.
David, I'm kidding. So if you're listening, don't send me a text.
David is still partying after the 63-3 Georgia win over FSU.
Yeah, I think that one was a foregone conclusion before it started with the situation at Florida State and their players abandoning.
Swift dropping it in for 2 makes it an 11-6 contest. By the way, I know Colin Hardy at one point was going to head to New Mexico State and then got a job near home as the assistant coach at Shelton State. I guess you know, too. Everything I tell you is going to be old news. You know, he picked up a win.
Yeah, I saw that. I was watching you guys, and that was great. I was texting Madonna during that game. That was fun.
Well, and I spoke with Dean Myrick, the commissioner of the ACCC, via text because I was wondering, well, does he actually get the win?
No, you don't. I was assistant coach at College of Coastal Georgia for 22 years. And rest his soul, Coach Cox, Gerald Cox was my head coach. And there were 17 games throughout my career that we played without coach. He had a heart attack one time and missed 5 games. He had a detached retina one time and missed 3 games. So there was various things through the years. And I was 16-1 in those games, and he got all 16 of them.
Wow. Well, now see, Dean Myrick has told me otherwise. So that is interesting because, as you know, the 700th win in the coaching career of Madonna Thompson then will become a game she didn't coach.
Yeah. That's what it was back then. And I don't know why anybody would change something like that. Who even thinks about that, really? But assistant coaches who were filling in. But, you could back when I was at Coastal Georgia, all those went to Coach Cox because it's his team, his program. We're just kind of hanging out. We're not even interims. We're just filling a spot.
Well, that brings it back to interesting then because it's very possible that Coach Thompson didn't coach her 700th win.
And I'm sure she'll be fine with it.
Yeah. Yep. And she's going to get to 800 shortly anyway.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is. She's a Hall of Famer.
15-6 contest. Biggest difference for you from the JUCO to the D1 level? I mean, is it exclusively the traveling or what else is different?
No, there's 2 or 3 things. I think the detail stuff with the NCAA, I mean, it's a little nerve-wracking and head-scratching and a little bit of everything. A lot of busy work that, I still haven't figured out rhyme or reason for some of it, but it is what it is, got to be done.
Well, I'll go ahead and tell you. It was some lawyer somewhere.
Right. And high up in the building that said, let's make this 475-page manual that everybody has to go by. But anyhow, so and you know what? Basketball is basketball, I think. I think at that level, I think we probably try, or we don't try, but I think we maybe sometimes do too much. I see it a lot, and I saw it when I was here with the coaches that recruited our players. Like you can have information overload, but there is a huge discrepancy between preparation here and how we prepare there. Just the attention to detail in scouts, the amount of time you spend on your scouts. It's you really, 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 really try to put your players in great position to be successful and have knowledge about the things they need to know for us to win.
Geron with a miss. Down with the rebound is Wilburn. Wilburn trying to bring it back. Geron touched it last before it heads out of bounds. And St. Petersburg will be in possession. So, despite the fact that you've been in the business for 20-plus years, still a big-time learning experience for you?
It is, and I have learned a tremendous amount in 8 months, 9 months, whatever it is. Our head coach, Jody Adams, does a tremendous job with attention to detail and things like that. And I really have just paid a lot of attention and watched how meticulous things are. So that's mainly, for me, that's the biggest thing, just the attention to details and so much to learn. I felt like that here, though. I felt like every day was a learning experience. It was, if you ever get to the point where you don't think you're going to learn or you can get better, you're going to go stagnant.
Jackson going to the stripe after the foul. Hits the bucket and looking to tack on one more and does. Well, wasn't that really kind of it's certainly you want to when you move, get paid better, but wasn't part of it too in learning more, in expanding that basketball knowledge?
Yeah, that was a big part of it. Our head coach, played at Tennessee and, for one of the best coaches in the world ever, Pat Summit, and she picked up on those detailed things, and I knew that I would learn a lot from watching, and I have. I'm fortunate to have been correct on that guess because I've learned a lot in a short amount of time, and that's what this is about. Yeah, improving myself as a coach and the way I treat people and just the way, you coach the game. And there's so many different philosophies. It's good to see different philosophy, and a lot of stuff works in this game. So it is a good learning time for me.
You go from Georgia to New Mexico. That's a completely different part of the country geographically, culturally, in so many different ways. But you've got a couple of assistant coaches from here. You've got 3 players that you're familiar with. Did that kind of make it a little more comfortable, the transition?
Definitely made it easier. Just familiarity, just having people there that you've been around, it absolutely helps.
1:29 to play in a 17-12 ball game.
I'm thrilled that, I scheduled this thing, but I'm thrilled that it's continuing, and hopefully it'll continue on. I think, what is this, the 8th year of this thing, of the Classic?
I am not sure.
I think we didn't have you the first year, but it was only 4 teams, I think. And then we expanded it, and you started doing all the games. I think it's probably the 8th year of it, maybe 9th.
Well, you're still the insider. So is it coming back next year?
I hope so. I wouldn't see why it wouldn't. I say that, but it could go away. Yeah, but I think it's been a great positive event for South Georgia Tech.
Indeed, and you got 2 top 20 matchups. You had Pensacola State and Shelton.
Yep.
And then today Shelton and Gulf Coast.
Yep.
Driving in, hitting the bucket. King hit the hardwood hard.
And both were really good games.
They were.
Lived up to the billing.
Looked like the Pensacola State-Shelton State game was going to get out of hand with the Buccaneers up by 22, but you saw what happened, trimmed to 3 within a minute.
Yes. It was a great game, and so today's was too. So it's fun watching young people compete, and when you get so many of them in one place at one time, it's excellent.
All right, how long are you in Georgia?
Leave tomorrow evening.
And head to?
Las Cruces, New Mexico. We got conference starting next Saturday at UTEP, so we'll be getting ready for our first conference game.
And the players at the JUCO level that are playing there, at least I know you've got from South Georgia Tech 3. Are there others?
No, just 3 from South Georgia Tech.
What about other JUCOs?
Oh yeah. We've got, I think, 8 JUCO kids total.
Wow.
Yeah, 8 of 13.
Now,
So-
your leading scorer, Hollinsworth, is that the name? I'm trying to remember.
No, Kaiser, Molly Kaiser.
Molly Kaiser, yes. Is she a JUCO product?
No, she's a 4-year kid.
From that area?
She's from Texas.
Well, a shot to the other end of the floor comes up a little bit short, and we have wrapped up one with Pensacola State in a 7-point lead. Now, in your text, you said first quarter, too.
I got a few more minutes.
You can hang around.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a break, come back with quarter number 2 in James Frey, the associate head coach at New Mexico State.
The South Georgia Technical College, where we make it happen.
Whether your dream is to become a welder, a nurse, a restaurant owner, electrician, or aircraft mechanic, South Georgia Technical College can help you make it happen. SGTC has over 200 associate degree, diploma, and technical certificate of credit programs of study available. Visit our website at southgatech.edu for more information or to apply, or call 800-928-0283.
So what are you waiting for? Let's make it happen.
$19-12 advantage. Pirates on top of the Titans through 10 minutes of basketball. James Frey with us, the associate head coach, New Mexico State, former AD and women's basketball coach right here at South Georgia Tech. I know when you were here, because I was trying to, get you to include me on those international recruiting trips.
Yeah.
And you assured me the budget didn't allow you to go, much less me.
Yeah.
What about now, though? I mean, are you able to take some trips abroad?
We have actually our AD has discussed it with our coach, and we'll see. I mean, this is our first recruiting cycle, so it's possible.
Well, I know we got limitations on what we can talk about recruiting-wise,
Right.
but is there a part of the world?
Oh, lots. I'd love to. I'd love to go to Switzerland and recruit, and Australia, and heck, I'd love to go Spain. Yeah, count me in.
Speaking of Switzerland, I see where Alexia DeZico, a former South Georgia Tech Jet, now a Gator. Her biggest performance of the year, I believe, was 6 against Winthrop. How is she doing overall?
Seems to be doing fine. She reaches out to me every once in a while, just as a player coach. In our relationship, I always have to be very careful about that too, because people consider that tampering or whatever. But I check with our compliance about that too. Our pre-existing relationship is 3 years, and I'm not recruiting Lex. She's in the SEC, and so she leans on me every once in a while for advice or whatever, just like all the rest of them do. Have always done.
Well, you've had an opportunity to see South Georgia Tech's ladies play, and I've been surprised at a couple of players from one year to the next, and to me, maybe the most improved could be Vera Gunington. What do you think?
I think I can't really talk about that.
Oh, you can't talk about her?
I can't talk about players.
Oh, man. So we can't talk about because, I got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're all recruitable athletes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, then we won't talk about South Georgia Tech. Let's see. We've talked about your trip in. How about the weather? It's nice.
Yeah, weather is nice. I've seen rain 3 times since I've been there.
What about snow?
June.
I know the picture you sent of the snow-capped mountains.
Yeah, yep. So far, that's it. Just the mountains. Just the tops of the mountains.
Doesn't drop down into the valley then?
It does sometimes, but not a lot. Usually doesn't stick, they tell me, so we'll see.
Now, is the entire family out west?
No, my son is. And, he's 23 and, works remote. So he told me whenever I accepted the job, he called me about 2 weeks later and said, "Hey, Dad, I think I want to go out there with you." And I went, "You sure?" And he said, "Yep." He said, "A chance to see another part of the country, I'd love to." So it's just he and I, toughing it. Got to see the grandbaby every time I get a chance. We FaceTime about 4 times a day, the grandbaby and I do. We have some really fun conversations.
Well, now the son, does he like it in New Mexico?
He does. He's having a good time. He gets to keep Pop's company. He gets to watch us play. And, he enjoyed football season, getting to see our men play football, our football team play, and go and watch our men's basketball team. So he's enjoyed it.
McDonald with a 2 on the reverse, and all of a sudden the lead jumps out to 12 for Pensacola State. Well, everybody's got, maybe not officially, but kind of something in mind as to where they want to be in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. What about James Frey? Okay, let's pick a year. Where do you see James Frey in, let's say, 5 years?
Man, that's a tough one. It really is, and I'm not trying to escape out of it, but obviously, when you've been a head coach for 11 years and had a little bit of success, and you want to take, you kind of want to take what you're learning right now. And I'm speaking third person for some reason, but I want to take what I'm learning now and help Coach Adams grow her coaching tree. She's put some coaches at Division I head coaches, and I would like, I think, one day to be a head coach again. It's weird because when I was in junior college, I never was really tied up in the level. I never had the overwhelming desire to be a Division I, coach and all that stuff. And so it never really bothered me that I was at junior college. I felt like at junior college, I was able to impact twice the amount of kids, because we're rolling them out every 2 years. And, we're able to have a great impact on some families and kids around the world. And so, but now, now that I've been a head coach and all that stuff, I would like to do it again. I don't really care about the level. My head coach has already asked me, do you plan on being here next year? Because for her, she wants the best for me. And she'll help me. If I say, well, I want to go be a head coach again, she'll help me go be a head coach again. So, I'm not too sure. I'm not sure, exactly what it holds, 2 years, 3, 5, I don't know. I do know I like to be a head coach again one day. But I'm very content right now learning on the fly, and it's on the fly too. We are all over the place in Conference USA. So, I'm very content, and I want to help build our program and help us be successful and just do the things that I was hired to do. So, I think to answer your question in a roundabout way, I'd like to be a head coach. I don't know if it's in 2 or 5 years.
Well, and I would assume, too, where Coach Adams is concerned. She's a smart lady, and she knows, too, that she's not going to keep you forever.
No. And she, really you don't want to. It was like when I had Kezia Conyers as my assistant, who now still works with us. She's with me at New Mexico State. I knew I wasn't going to keep her forever. I had her for 6 years and was super lucky to have her that long before she went to be a head coach. So, I think everybody wants that for their assistants to be able to move on and to be able to take what you're teaching them and watch it grow.
Well, and I would assume, and I'm making an assumption with having absolutely no knowledge, but heck, it's my job. But even where Coach Adams is concerned, she is always looking to the possibility of something else.
Sure. Well, I think she's from Tennessee, played at Tennessee. Her family lives in Tennessee, so I think in her heart of hearts, she's been gone since she graduated from college, working, and so I think she would like to be able to get closer to family as well. So, you're right. I mean, in this profession, everybody's always open to the idea of listening to people when they talk to you about opportunities.
Well, a spin move and a fall down in the paint by Pryor gives it over to Burr, and Burr will bring it to the glass and get fouled in the process. Well, we can't talk about recruits. Can we talk about coaches?
I think as long as we don't talk about me recruiting their kids.
Okay. I like these coaches. Of course, obviously, Pensacola State Coach Belford has been very successful, 15-1. And I know Coach Davidson has got to be disappointed with a 2-10 mark coming in. But these are two coaches that just appear so passionate about the game.
The one thing about both of them is how good of people they are. Penny has been at Pensacola and just works and has always been somebody you can call on the phone and just have a conversation about whatever with. And Lord knows Denisha is, she's been at this a while, and she's one of my best friends in coaching. We talk about her family. We talk about all kind of stuff. She'll call me for advice sometimes, stuff I went through at junior college, and she's just a tremendous, tremendous person. They're both incredible, but they are very feisty, very aggressive coaches, and really, really work hard to get the best out of their young ladies.
And two, Pensacola State and Coach Melvin has hired somebody that you're very familiar with, Ron Robinson, as an assistant, the former women's basketball coach at Chad Valley.
Great hire, because Coach Robinson did a great job at CVCC, and I think having that person that she can depend on to really lean on, or if she has to miss for some reason, having that person in place is always very, very, very underappreciated. I mean, when you have to miss something or you get sick or whatever goes on and you don't have somebody you can count on, that's tough. You work through a lot of sickness when that happens. So it's great that Coach Robinson's there helping her.
And as I mentioned just a few minutes ago, it's my job to speculate, but I got a feeling that where Ron is concerned, it's kind of like the Pensacola State version of maybe a James Frey, in that he's looking to improve his coaching game, and he hopes to get back to a head coaching job at some point.
Yeah, he went to the Panhandle, which is toughest league in the world probably, and so he'll see stuff that he didn't see on the night in night out basis, and he'll improve, and he won't be the assistant coach there long. He's a very, very good coach.
4:46 left to play in this one. And really, at least from an observation standpoint, seems to be much more involved than your typical assistant coach.
Sure. Well, he's got that, he sat in that seat. When Coach Adams hired me, she said, I want to hire somebody who has sat in my seat, someone who's called timeouts, someone who's dealt with players as a head coach. And that's something she wanted on her staff, was a head coach. And so that's what you're seeing in Coach Robinson. He's been there. He's called the timeouts. He's dealt with the issues that happen with players. He's been through it all. So, he's going to be very involved.
And you mentioned Coach Conyers, an assistant that coached with you here, then got a head coaching job, now back to an assistant coach. I mean, is she a different coach now since she's been a head coach?
She's a different person now. She's still the same coach, I think. I think she sees the game differently a little bit than she did before when she was just an assistant. But she's a different person. I think she kind of rolls with things a little bit better. Not so uptight about some stuff here. Every once in a while I have to go, hey, man, smile. It's okay. We're this is supposed to be fun. So I think she's a different person. She's married now, and life has been really good to her, and she's got great people in her life. So I think she's still a same coach, just sees things through a little different lens.
I got to ask because it just seems odd that it happened in the same year that Brandon Harrell, no longer the women's basketball coach at Georgia Highlands, just the athletic director duties only. Did you know that was coming?
We had talked about it some, I guess a month or so before, maybe 2 months before it was announced. It wasn't definite at the time, but it was looking that way. And I'm really happy for him. What a great, great, great coach, competitor. We talk all the time still. Obviously, he's one of my best friends in the world. And we talk about, what he misses most is game day, which I knew would be the case. He's such a competitor. But he he's got an opportunity to spend time with family. He doesn't have to be out dealing with recruiting and all that good jive. And I think it's just really simplified his life, and I'm happy for him. Like I'm not tooting my own horn, but I was sad for our conference that he and I both left in the same year from coaching. But I'm thrilled for him to live the life he's leading right now.
Jackson sending it down to Burr. Over it goes to Lewis. And all of a sudden, Pensacola State jumping out in front by 22. Okay, he goes to a full-time AD job. Is he a guy that might one day return to head coaching?
I don't know. It wouldn't shock me if he got back in coaching. The one thing that makes me think no is they just bought a new home on 50 acres up there. And so That might be the old retirement home. You never say never, but I kind of hope he sticks it out there. That 50 acres has got a bunch of deer on it, he told me, and I'm welcome to hunt it whenever I can get time. So I need him to – if he does, he needs to keep the homestead at least so I can take advantage of that opportunity.
I knew it, an ulterior motive. McDonald with the steal. By the way, they got a brand-new softball and baseball facility that opens January 31st.
Yep.
There in Georgia Highlands.
Yep. Very impressive place. Very impressive.
You know, Ben Hicks was the men's head basketball coach at Chad Valley
Yep.
and now the AD only.
Yep.
So I don't know if that's a trend that's starting.
I don't know. I actually talked to Ben when he did it as well because he was looking for a women's coach, and his men's coach is Douglas Bird, who was here.
Yep.
So he called me about Douglas before he hired him for a reference, and then he called me about a women's coach. So Ben's a tremendous basketball coach, and he's going to do fantastic as the AD there. He's from that area. Got great relations in that area. Ben's going to do a great job.
Jackson with a turnaround. Burr with a put back off the rim, no good. And a third opportunity. The third time is the charm for Pryor. And Pryor, we saw that ankle twisted earlier. There's a definitive limp as Pryor makes her way to the opposite end of the floor. Well, what about Ben? You see him getting back into head coaching, or he too?
I could see it. Ben's young enough where I could see it.
Now, what is young enough, by the way? 40-ish?
Yeah, 40s. I mean, I can see Ben doing AD for 5 and go, I got this itch. Want to call some timeouts and chase young folks all over the world and beg them to come and play at my school.
Got a jump ball. Possession error will send us to the other end of the floor. To me, it seems like, though, coaching is kind of like an athlete. I mean, that arena, getting into that arena, hearing the crowd cheer, that's got to be very difficult to turn away from permanently.
Yeah, I would think so. I haven't done it yet. I don't know if I've ever – 5 years ago I wouldn't have said this, but I can see – I can see the end of the road for me. I can see the day I give it up. There's so much going on. You're just, nowadays with the transfer portal, we're recruiting our own kids the whole dang time we got them. You're getting kids out of the portal. So even in your downtime, your eyes on the portal the whole time, trying to see what's happening. You're recruiting all over the place. Your summers are filled with – July is just one trip after another trip after another trip after another trip. And, June you get a little downtime. It's so much. And, I've heard it referenced in football, NCAA, P5 football, that, the demand with NIL, with portal, the demand on these head coaches, and, me being a Georgia fan like David, you talk about they said Kirby Smart spent 0 time game prep for FSU. The last 2 weeks he has spent NIL, roster management, and portal.
Wow.
And so that tells you right there alone the demand on these coaches. And I think you're going to see at that level, you're going to see coaching tenures or coaching careers go from 25, 30, the Nick Sabans and the 25, 30-year-old to Kirby Smart at 59 or 60 going, okay, I'm done. In 10 years, I'm out of here. And I just think that's the nature of the beast nowadays. And so for me personally, I can actually see the day where I say, okay, let me see what else I can do.
Now, you're saying that's a change that previously you might have seen yourself being carried out on a stretcher?
Right. I didn't envision I would leave coaching. I just felt like when I retire, I'd retire a coach. And, at our level, heck, you go from retirement system to retirement system and all the other stuff. And, if you're not at Power 5 making $1 billion, and, that doesn't help you. So,
well, I guess you could become the head football coach at Texas A&M and
get $70 million not to work.
That's right.
Sign me up for that gig.
Big three from Swift and a big lead for Pensacola State by 31. And it is halftime. Well, Coach, great talking with you. Thanks for taking
Likewise.
an extra quarter. We thought we
Sure.
were only going to have you one, got you two. And
as always, thank you for all that you've done for this place and the promotion of young people. And I do it all the time. I've sent you pictures of me watching games. And
yep.
I get our whole staff. We'll tune in and watch games on JockJive. And thank you for all that you do for these young people. And I hope this relationship stays in place for a very long time.
Hope so as well. And, there's always a mic and a place to sit near our broadcast.
Well, I appreciate that. Thanks, Robert.
Thank you. James Frey, the associate head coach at New Mexico State, with us, carrying us into halftime. Conversation with Dr. John Watford is coming up in a half minute. Great to have with us Dr. John Watford, president of South Georgia Tech. President Watford, how are you?
I'm doing great, Robert. Good to be with you today.
Good to have you on as well. This has become kind of an annual thing. About once a year, we talk about South Georgia Tech athletics, academics, and it's good to do it again in 2023-24. I want to ask you, first of all, obviously the most obvious change from last year to this year is there's a new coach there at South Georgia Tech. So a new era has started with Jason Carpenter. Let's go back in time to when James Frey decided to head to New Mexico and you implemented the process to name a new coach. Take us through that procedure.
Well, we were all sad to see James leave us, and he meant a lot and means a lot to South Georgia Tech. But we put together a committee of our vice presidents, and we included some outside folks. We had Commissioner Dave Elder, the commissioner for our region for the Georgia Collegiate Athletic Association, to sit in on the interviews and give his input on the athletic side. And went through a very rigorous round of interviews, and of course they made a recommendation to me, and Coach Carpenter rose to the top as the creme de la creme, and I tell you, we're glad to have him. He is doing a fantastic job, not only as women's basketball coach, but as athletic director. He has taken on that role, and there's a lot of maturity in Jason. There's a lot of leadership skills there. And so far, I've just been thrilled with Jason Carpenter's leadership with the athletic programs.
Over the people that applied for the job, was there something in particular that kind of made him stand out, maybe more so? I mean, was there one item in particular or a combination of factors?
It was obviously a combination of factors. As much as we love Frey, we weren't looking for another Frey because there is no other James Frey. But there's also not another Jason Carpenter, and there's not another whoever. Everybody brings their own skill sets to the table. But the things we were looking for that Jason possessed were obviously the leadership and the ability to lead an entire athletic program, as well as coach a women's basketball team. But Jason, having been he was at Gulf Coast when we got him, and he had served also at I keep wanting to call it the old name up in North Georgia in Rome, but our biggest rival, and I can't think of their name right now, but he had been there, and
Georgia Highlands.
Georgia Highlands.
Yeah.
Georgia Highlands. Yeah. Thank you for that. You got me out of a pickle. I don't know how I could forget Georgia Highlands, as much grief as they've given us in Rome and here in Americus as well. But he had been there, and he had been at Gulf Coast, so he knew our region. He knew the conference that we play in. And there's a lot to that because, at the national level, there's a lot of different mixes, and having coached down at Gulf Coast in Panama City, he's been part of that dynasty down there. Gulf Coast, Chipola, Florida Northwestern, and I'm probably missing a couple, but those schools always have really, really strong and intimidating basketball programs. So he brought a lot to the table on a lot of different levels.
Was there, I'm trying to think of the appropriate way to word this, but from the perspective of Jason coming in, I mean, a very successful program. So there's pressure on him to perform and to do it immediately. But obviously, he's performed with some high pressure situations previously. So did you get a feel for a little bit of, I guess, nervousness on his part to begin with?
I wouldn't call it nervousness. I think he has the right temperament. He certainly has a respect for the position that he's in, and he wants to be, come out of the gate excelling as we all would, and he's doing a great job. But at the same time, and I had this heart to heart with him the other day. We cannot put unrealistic expectations on him. He had a month to prepare his team before we started playing jamborees and scrimmages, and even to fill the roster with some players. So the expectations are there, but we don't expect miracles this short into the game. Having said that, he's doing a fantastic job in bringing the players together and gelling, and he has a lot of athletic talent on that women's basketball team.
You are very supportive of the athletic program, and that's not necessarily true about all presidents. You will be there. You'll be watching. If you're in town, you got your familiar spot there in the hangar that you watch the ball game. Athletics, very important to any program, specifically South Georgia Tech, where you're concerned?
Absolutely. I have an advantage as a president that we only have one athletic program, and that's basketball, men's and women's basketball. So a lot of the other presidents, Georgia Highlands, for example, my dear friends up in Rome, they have a lot of sports, and I understand, their presidents can't be at every game for softball, soccer, baseball, basketball, men's and women's of each sport. I mean, it's impossible with the president's schedule. But I have the luxury of only having that one program, and no, I can't make every game, but it is important. And I tell you, we try to make at least one or two away games for each team a year, and more if we can. It means so much to those players. They know they've got your support. But when they see you in the stands and they see you there on a fairly regular basis, and they see you there at an away game every once in a while, it means something to them. And I encourage our Jets fans and Lady Jets fans, if you ever have a weekend or a weeknight that you see they're playing in Griffin or in Cuthbert or even Panama City or someplace like that, it makes a world of difference to those players when they look up and they see some familiar faces on those away games.
All right, let's talk a little academics. There's always things going on in South Georgia Tech, whether it's construction, whether it's bringing in new programs. So tell us, what is new in 23-24 that we didn't see in 22-23?
We are excited about several things. We have been approved by the Georgia Board of Nursing to begin the process of application for an LPN to RN bridge program. And we're hoping to bring that program in late 2024 or early 2025, where we can begin matriculating students who have a licensed practical nursing diploma, that they can come in and in another year earn their RN and sit for their registered nurse license. And so that's exciting. It's going to mean a lot of opportunities. And of course, we have a great nursing shortage in our state and our nation that we're trying to help mitigate. One of the other things that we've got going is a new truck driving pad on our Cordele campus. We have a 75,000 square foot facility in Crisp County that is very, very integral to the trucking industry and logistics, with an inland port, with 3 railroads intersecting and I-75 going through. So we have hired a full-time instructor and have ordered a couple of trucks and getting a 3-acre truck driving pad paved there. So we're excited about starting full-time truck driving in Cordele as well.
In this era of technology that seemingly is changing every 6 months to 12 months, it sounds to me that as a president of a community college, you're always thinking ahead to the needs that might be 3 or 4 years down the road in some cases. So how do you do that in this fast changing culture?
It is very difficult, Robert. We have advisory committees for every program on our campus, and that's men and women in the industry of that particular program. So they give us good advisement on what new procedures are coming, what new equipment to go ahead and start training our students on that is either new or coming in the very near future. But a lot of what we learned over the past decade or two is that technical college students, there was a day and time where everything was procedural and you just taught, well, you put this peg in this hole and you teach procedurally. Now everything has to be taught based on critical thinking skills, troubleshooting, because the computer program that I taught 30 something years ago doesn't exist. COBOL, RPG, all that stuff's not around anymore. But the critical thinking skills still apply to the computers of today. And so we try to teach our students not only on the equipment that's in the market today, but also how to critically think and troubleshoot, so that when they do encounter new procedures, new equipment, and so forth, that they'll be able to adapt readily.
Okay, so you've mentioned the RN program and the trucking pad as for things that are coming to South Georgia Tech in 23-24. What about next year and the year beyond? Do you see some things coming, or at least in the works currently?
Absolutely. We're always wanting to expand the things that make us different. We have partnerships with Caterpillar and John Deere. And I know you're familiar with those, where we train students across the southeastern United States, and for both of those major Fortune 500 companies. We want to enhance our partnerships. We want to grow our partnerships. We also, one of the other things that makes us different is our residence halls. We're one of only 2 technical colleges in Georgia that has on-campus housing, and so we're hoping to expand that and introduce more students to the opportunity to have campus life in a technical college environment.
In closing, and I don't know that we've done this ever before in a conversation, but how do interested students, potential students, how do they learn more about South Georgia Tech?
We would love for them to call us or come see us. They can reach out to us by phone. They can come on our website and express an interest. Our website is www.southgatech.edu. And there's information on there on how to apply, or just how to look at programs and see what we have to offer. We love to show people where we are. People think of Americus, Georgia, and Sumter County as being a rural place out of, not in the middle of everything. And to some degree that's true, but our college is a progressive, state-of-the-art technical community college, and we want to get people on our campus. So if they would like to come see us, tell them to reach out to South Georgia Tech and schedule a tour, or just drop in, and we'll be glad to show them whatever they want to see.
Dr. John Watford, president of South Georgia Tech, thanks so much for being our guest.
Thank you, Robert. We always enjoy and appreciate JockJive. Y'all do a great job for us.
Hey, thank you so much as well.
Thank you.
A 32-point second stanza. That is the biggest reason for the large halftime lead of 31. Pensacola State, a 32-point second to go along with a 16, make that a 19-point first. Meanwhile, 12 in the first, 8 in the second for St. Pete. And St. Petersburg to get back into the ball game, got to do what Pensacola State did in the first half. And they start the scoring. And what a day for Swift. Throws it away to begin the second half, but she didn't do much wrong in the first half. Scoring a total of 21. Taking a look at the leaderboard. Of course, you saw some of the team stats coming into the second half. Top scorer in the first half for the Pirates, 21 from Swift. Top rebounder was McDonald with 5. Just about every Pirate has got a couple of fouls. No Pirates with 3, but many with 2. Casey, a couple of assists. She stayed on the floor more than anybody else, which is interesting because she didn't actually start the game. Came in 5 seconds in and then stayed on the floor. Laid in by Geron. Burr coming to the scorer's table, ready to get into the game for St. Petersburg. Top scorer for the Titans with 8 was Johnson. Top rebounder Pryor with 6. Most minutes on the floor, Lewis didn't come off the floor. Stayed out there for 20. And there's no really serious foul trouble for the Titans. You've got Johnson with 2, otherwise everybody else with 1 or less. Lewis over to Pryor. Pryor nursing a bad ankle, but in the ball game here in the second half. Probably got it taped up a little tighter. Points off turnovers. Here's the huge difference. 29 Pirate points off turnovers and none for the Titans. Of course, there were a lot more Titan turnovers, 22 as compared to 6 by the Pirates. Geron putting up the 3. Tries the 2, and apparently Jackson committed the foul, but got, well, nope, they're going to call the foul on Lewis. And Jackson taking a shot to the face, and I think it's going to come out of the ball game. Holding her hand as if she's got a contact in the hand, and I think she does. And then just dropped it onto the hardwood, but hey, that one eye must be very good because she was able to spot it and pick it up. Got to get it sanitized before sticking it back into the eye. Bench scoring, 8 for the Pirates and 1 for the Titans. One lead change, no ties. And the largest lead in the first half was the 31 enjoyed at the half by the Pirates. And it has grown a little bit to 33 now. One more game to go, and we will wrap up our Holiday Classic. And hopefully do it all over again about a year from now. Foul called on Jackson. And going to the stripe is Swift. Actually, that is Lockett, by the way, at the stripe. Nope, it is Swift. Ponytail hid the 1. Lockett wears a 5. Swift wears a 15. So that ponytail deceived me, an optical illusion. Nearly taken away by Swift. Able to get it back was Johnson. Puts up the jumper short on the 2-try. Pryor able to put it back up and in. 6 in the game for Pryor. Across to the other side of the floor. Swift giving it to Geron. Geron with the 3. It is missed. Swift for 3. It's off the rim, too. And Benson will step out of bounds, trying to stick it back onto the floor. Burr to put it in play. Does so to Pryor. Back over to Burr. Down low, the reverse from Pryor. She'll draw the foul, and we'll go to the strike. I want to mention Pensacola State coming into holiday play 14-0, lose to Shelton State. Win yesterday, got a big lead today. So the question mark is how much does their poll ranking suffer as a result of the loss to the number 20 ranked Shelton State. And I'm thinking it will knock them down a few, but not much. Might still be a top 10 team. McDonald taking it away from everybody else. No good with the shot. It is rebounded by Pryor and kicks it out to Lewis. I make that Johnson. Johnson firing down low, and King walked. Took a step before the pass to Pryor. Wilburn into the game. Also checking in is Lockett. Swift heading to the sidelines. So too will McDonald. "11 games into the Classic. And one more to go. Tallahassee and Daytona State. Benson with a miss. It'll go out of bounds, and Burr will put it in play from the baseline. Stolen by Geron. Backs up, waits for teammates. Over it goes to Lockett, shoots from the elbow, just a little bit short. And reaching over the baseline, trying to bring it back in was Casey. Looks like Jackson's got the contact back in. She'll get back onto the floor. King will come out. Put in play to Pryor. Over it goes to Burr and Johnson. (59-27), 32-point lead. And we got to have somebody relatively tall. That ball is stuck right between the rim and the window. Well, we don't have anybody tall enough, so we're going to try this. And it works. I would have offered, but I've got the game to do. Okay, I concede. I couldn't even touch the bottom of the net, much less near the rim. Fed over to Pryor, brings it into the paint, shoots over Geron. Missed the shot, draws the foul. Geron the guilty party. And Pryor will go to the stripe shooting. 5.5 to play in the third. Opening game today, Gulf Coast and Shelton State. Number 4 and number 20. And Gulf Coast will come away with their I think it is their 15th win of the year. Handing the Buccaneers their 4th loss of the season. Pretty good December for Rory Kuhn and the Commodores of Gulf Coast. They didn't lose during the month. Only lost once in November. Over to Swift, wanting to add to that total that's been stuck at 25 for a bit. Grabs the rebound in the corner, and timeout asked for by the Pirates. And we will take the break as well at the 5:09 mark in quarter number 3.
To South Georgia Technical College, where we make it happen.
Whether your dream is to become a welder, a nurse, a restaurant owner, electrician, or aircraft mechanic, South Georgia Technical College can help you make it happen. SGTC has over 200 associate degree, diploma, and technical certificate of credit programs of study available. Visit our website at southgatech.edu for more information or to apply, or call 800-928-0283.
So what are you waiting for? Let's make it happen.
There's Coach Mercedes, who is the head coach of Tallahassee. They're getting ready to take on Daytona State in the last game of the Classic. David Finley, by the way, the PA guy. Let's get a look at David. Yeah, right there. Got to put a face with a voice. He was rubbing in the Georgia win over Florida State. He does know we're looking at a couple of Florida teams, right, on the floor. It was a classic, though. Said the media timeout was brought to us by Georgia. And then mentioned the 63-3 win, and then even had a little more history on the biggest win in Orange Bowl history, etc., etc. Benson with a missed rebound by Jackson. That will go off of Lockett and out of bounds. And we're going to go to the media timeout. It's the first one that happens inside the 5-minute mark. So another break in a 59-28 contest.
You've played some travel ball. You've shared the videos. Mom and Dad can only root so much. It's time to get real interest from the colleges and scouts in your area right where you live. That's why the Showcase Series is different. We're not just another tournament. We're an advancement event where you get real-time exposure with live TV coverage of our games that get you seen directly by the coaches you want to impress from anywhere in the world. Register for events at showcaseseries.org. It's your turn at bat.
Well, there's a gentleman that when the doors are open here at the hangar, he is often here. Whether South Georgia Tech is playing or not, just enjoys good basketball. And I got a feeling based on how supportive he is of athletics here, might enjoy the hospitality room as well and be given access. Halfway through the third in a 59-28 contest. Tipped out of bounds by Benson. Titans will keep it. Burr will put it in play. Burr, the freshman, only started one game this year, but it's gotten quite a bit of playing time, especially in this one. It is stolen away. Benson's got it. Looks back to Swift. Goes, hey, you got 25. Can I bring this one to the glass and pick up my fourth? She does in the lead. Now 61-28. That'll be tipped out of bounds. Lewis coming to the sideline. She does not leave the game often. Comes out of the game here, and Johnson will re-enter. Lock it over to Casey, shoots the three off the rim. Wilburn trying to get the putback. Eventually wrapped up by King. Over goes to Johnson. One more game to go, Daytona State and Tallahassee. Slated for a 4 p.m. start. Pryor going to the line after the foul by Wilburn. Wilburn picking up her third. And Pryor capping off the three. Fan down low to Wilburn. Wilburn off the glass, but Jackson commits the foul. And for Jackson, that will be 4. Jackson left yesterday's game a little bit early because of foul issues. She will leave the game momentarily with 4. And Wilburn will shoot. That is Fatu Kamara, who has checked into the game as Jackson leaves. Couple of misses from Wilburn. Kamara with the rebound. Out it goes to Johnson, works it to the top of the key. King on the floor with a left-handed dribble. Back over it goes to Johnson. Shoots the 3 ball off the rim. Benson tracking it down in the corner. Benson with a scoop in traffic. That is 6 Benson points now in the game. And just a little bit of a bump. And Benson will pick up the personal. Burr putting it in play from in front of a scorer's table. Benson coming out of the game. And checking into the game for Pensacola State is Lockett. And Lockett will pick up her third foul. And I keep hearing from somebody, and I'm assuming it is the Pensacola bench, no foul when St. Pete's got the ball, but there have been 2. Quick. And the second of the 2 putting Johnson at the stripe. Driving it down low, that is Swift. Turns around, puts up the 2. She's got 27. Thrown away, back with it is Swift. Swift making her way to Pensacola State into the floor. Asking for it, McDonald. Toss intended for McDonald, picked off by Pryor. Has it at the timeline. Casey defending over to King. Perimeter too good for King. And a timeout on the floor asked for by St. Pete. Just inside 2 to play. Quarter number 3. Just about all white. Jones County diving catch it, shortstop. Gross. Towards the gap. Diving catch in center field by Ben Aklinski. There is a shot towards deep short. Kraft's got it. Long throw over, and he got it. I think, of course, this is from a distance from across the gymnasium. That is Coach Ballauer, the men's head basketball coach. His wife in the stands here. If I am wrong, oops, that's a big blunder. I'm relatively confident. In and out with a 3 from Casey Wilburn with a putback. Picking up the dribble, and as Johnson gives it over to King. That is stolen by Swift. Swift lays it up, lays it in. And she is a point away from 30. We just had a couple of players hit 25 in the game prior. And that had been the best this weekend, but Swift already at 29. And still got a quarter and a minute to go. Steals it away. Benson to McDonald, and McDonald drawing the foul. That is Kamara guilty. McDonald, 15 points a game. Actually one of the top scorers. Benson and McDonald both averaging 15.1. There's not a real deep bench for Pensacola State, so that does allow players to build a little bit better numbers. Kamara is fouled. But for McDonald, who typically averages 15, got about half that many currently with 8. Gerard into the game and Casey out. First Kamara free throw is good. Kamara, 6 points a game, a 46% free throw shooter. I checked that. I was looking a line below. She averages a couple of points a game. A 50% free throw shooter. Benson with a miss from long range. It is picked up, taken back to the glass by McDonald, and she'll walk with it. In play to Lewis, who has re-entered the game. Back it goes to Johnson, brings it into the corner. Down low, the feed. Burr trying to get the rebound off the Lewis miss. Over to Benson, Benson to the glass. And that's how the quarter will come to an end. Lofty lead for Pensacola State, 73-35 after 3. We're headed into the 4th with only 5 quarters to go in the Lady Jets Holiday Classic. That's what we need, a little rhythm in the house. Haven't had a lot of that this weekend. I'm going to attribute it to too much holiday candy, or at least overeating in some shape, form, or fashion. One stanza to go. And I think there's a discussion as to who actually has possession. And it is going to be Pensacola State. Originally looked like the Titans were about to take over to begin the fourth. Pensacola State, though, will have it. In play to Benson. A quarter away from the last game of the Classic. Sharon feeds to McDonald. McDonald, a couple of bounces on the rim. Results in a couple of points for the Pirates. Fed down low, but I think somebody kicked it. All right, let's go to the schedule and the results. See what your top score has been this year. Pensacola State with 90 against DME Academy. 97 against North Arkansas College. '89 versus Bishop State. 87 against Daytona State yesterday. '75 currently in this one with 90. Make that 9 minutes left to play. Well, I'm not sure what this discussion is about, but it is significant enough to warrant all three being involved. And they are ruling the three good. So that was the confirmation that the three-pointer counts. Over the shoulder of Lewis, goes to the other side of the floor to retrieve. Lost into the paint, loose ball picked up by Wilburn, goes to Swift. Fires to McDonald, lays it up and in for two. There is another three. And Jerron says, hey, I need somebody to come back and get this. Benson does. Couple of threes, trims it to 36, the lead. Swift trying to do the same on the other end of the floor. Wilburn gets it back, short of the shot. And there is a foul. And it is Tania Kerr committing the personal. Kerr coming out, Jackson and her four personals back in. Wilburn missing both. And that will go out of bounds off McDonald. Tyron Townsend into the ball game, puts it in play from the baseline. Feed goes back to Jackson, and she will draw the foul while hitting the bucket. McDonald picking up the foul. That'll be her second. Jackson gets into double digits scoring-wise and now adds to the total. 12 in the game for Jackson. Down low to Wilburn. And she will bounce it off the glass for two. Jackson went to the hardwood, comes up with a smile going, hey, if I can pretend I take a charge and get it, good. I didn't. No problem. I'll just work on my acting skills. McDonald with the rebound off the miss. From the elbow, a little bit short for Swift. Goes over to Benson, fires the three, and that's off the mark and out of bounds. Here comes Kerr into the game. Townsend will come out. Fan down low to Jackson. Nothing there, backs it out, shoots the two and hits the two. 14 in the game for Jackson. She and Johnson were tied for team high honors, but now it all belongs to Jackson. Jerron for three, rattles it in. From the top of the key, Lewis with a miss. Wilburn able to snag the rebound. Hands it over to Benson. Swift got the underneath the backboard and got Jackson too. Pensacola State will go 2-1 in Holiday Classic play. We're waiting on Wilburn. She's lacing up the sneakers. Put in play with a lob to Swift. And that'll go out of bounds off of Kerr. .6:28 left. Swift had it, lost it, gets it back into the corner to Jerron, and Jerron walked. Lewis sending it over to Pryor. Pryor trying to get it over to Kerr, but a little too much velocity and a little too much off the mark. And a walk from Swift. Game's just got a discombobulated feel to it at the moment. That'll be tipped out of bounds. And really in these games that have big leads late, and typically they go quicker. Lack of fouls, lack of turnovers, but that hasn't been the case here. Swift missing on the three. McDonald's got it. And that'll go out of bounds off of Kerr. Well, Swift wants 30, still stuck on 29. Jerron putting it in play from the baseline. Swift misfiring with a bunny. Jackson's got it. Johnson putting up the three, and it splashes in. Swift working her way to the lane. Feeds over to McDonald. That is kicked by Jackson. And Casey, who was at the scorer's table, scampers back to the bench. So whoever she was replacing stays in. Put in play to Swift. Back it goes to Geron. She'll shoot the three, make the three. 85 in the game for the Pirates. Pryor losing it. Finding it is Swift. Turns around, heads the other way. Pirates with the numbers, 4-on-2. Into the corner to Geron. Off with the three. Wilburn snags it, turns around. And she'll get fouled. And we'll go to the stripe likely after the media timeout. And yeah, there we go. Taking a break. Last media timeout of the game. Pensacola State up by a bundle.
University of Alabama Online, where legends log in. A tradition of excellence. Decades of experience in distance learning. Empowering students of all ages. More than 90 degree and certificate programs to advance your career. UA Online. Flexible, affordable, legendary. Let your computer be your campus. Visit online.ua.edu. .45-48 game. Wilburn at the stripe shooting. Went 0 for 2 her last trip there. Almost a 40-point lead, but Coach Tanisha Davidson, kind of like a Madonna Thompson, is going to coach no matter what. Large lead or large deficit. And it's because the season is nowhere close to over. Matter of fact, the most significant part of the year beginning in a couple of weeks, so it's getting ready for conference play time. It's fine-tuning for these teams. It's learning from mistakes. And there's a walk by Pryor. Over to Swift. Swift off the rim. Put back. McDonald swats it away. Or McDonald with the attempt, and Jackson swats it away. On the other end of the floor, Johnson for 2. McDonald, 2 on this end. Over goes to Johnson. Well, there aren't many plays you can draw up that overcomes a 38-point deficit in 3.5. But as I mentioned, you're just one of the best out of your teams in the final 3+. Swift's got 30. A 31-point performance from Swift. And for the third time this year, 90 points on the board for Pensacola State.
Over it goes to Geron. 93. That is I'm looking at the numbers. I think that is the second best total for Pensacola State. Their season high 97. Got 93 currently and lead it by 43. Two minutes and 41 seconds left to play. Pensacola State is going to win their 16th of the year. Uncharacteristically, St. Petersburg will fall to 2-11. But again, the part of the year that matters, you can go over in non-conference play. It's winning those conference games. Of course, you prefer not to go over at any point. But St. Petersburg will try to regroup after non-conference and get ready for the games that matter in the month of January. For Pensacola State, well, they're in that Panhandle Conference. And when you get to conference play, it's murderer's row. Casey off on the 3 try. Retrieved by McDonald, goes over to Geron. Flicks it back over to Casey to Geron, shoots the 3 off that rim. Out off Pryor. Looks like this Pensacola State squad wants 100. They are 7 away. 3 possessions away. Geron gets them closer. 2 possessions from 100 for the first time this year. Over to Johnson for 3. Over it goes to Benson. Benson just outside of the paint. And the foul will be committed by Kerr. Benson is tied the Pensacola State high of 97. And that came against North Arkansas College on the 9th of December. And now Benson with 10, exceeding that to 98. So their best offensive performance of the year comes in Georgia. Down to Kerr. Off the rim. Picking up the loose ball and headed the other way is Casey. Benson missing on the 3. Townsend trying to get it. Wilburn does. Back it goes to Geron. Benson to Casey. Opposite corner, Geron. 3 off the mark. And a foul committed. Let's see who did it. It is going to be a Pirate, and it is going to be charged. Well, I thought he held up 4 fingers. There is no 4 on Pensacola State. That's because it is not a number 4 for Pensacola State. It is a number 4 for St. Petersburg, and that, of course, is Pryor. 100 on the board for Pensacola State for the first time this year. But if you're going to play in the Panhandle Conference, you got to do that often. At least have the capabilities of hitting 100, because they're going to play some high-octane offenses. Panhandle Conference has got the number 1 team currently with Northwest Florida State, the number 4 with Gulf Coast, the number 7 with Pensacola State, number 19 with Chipola, well, let's see if the dogs have been called off, so to speak. Pirates have got their 100. There is a slight difference between game and shot clock, about a second. And I think the Pirates are just going to hand it over to the Titans, and the Titans will put it in play, and then we'll end the game. Let's see if somebody tries to launch one. Well, Pryor does, gets the rim, but the buzzer sounded first. 154, Pensacola State goes 2-1 in classic play, 16-1 overall. St. Petersburg joins Snow, going winless in the classic. 0-3, they fall to 2-11 on the year. One more classic game to go. Daytona State and Tallahassee. It is 20 minutes away. We will see you then. For all the folks with the classic and JockJive, I'm Robert Williamson. So long, everybody.